welcome to the Bankers Tech Talk video series, looking at all things fintech. We've been going for about 5 years now, and you can watch all previous episodes on thebanker.com/tech talks. I'm Joy Macknight, managing editor of The Banker, and with me is Rowland Park, who's co-founder and CEO of Limeglass, which is a financial research startup. Rowland, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks very much for inviting me, Joy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So how do you think that research can really become of greater value for the financial industry?
Research is a great area. I mean, for every investor and every trader, you're basically needing three good things. You need three basic good prices, good news, and good analysis. It's like a three-legged stool. And if you've only got two of those, you're a little bit uncomfortable. With research, the problem is not great research. There's a huge amount of great research. The problem is there's potentially too much research and it's coming in from every angle. Sell-side banks are sending well over 100, it's up to 200, 300, 400 publications a day. And if you're on the buy side, you're getting this from every area. It's coming into your inbox, hundreds of mails, if not thousands, hitting your inbox, going to rules to get into specific folders. And you're really struggling to find, if you want something, you tend to go to the people you know and the banks you know. And that really is a problem because essentially you might make suboptimal decisions because you're just basing yourself on the information you can find. And sometimes you spend longer finding or searching for the information than actually reading it.
Okay, and so there's new techniques, let's say artificial intelligence, natural language processing, machine learning. How can these new technologies or developing technologies maybe be used to enhance the way research is not only accessed but also distributed?
Yeah, there's some great developments happening with AI and NLP and all the rest of it, and really affecting a broad spectrum. What we've done is we've cherry-picked some of those and changed them for what we want to do, because essentially what we're trying to look at is this amount of research. It's unstructured data, and AI and NLP is fantastic at taking unstructured data and really structuring it, and you get metrics and everything else. But with research, really what we did is we went to the users and said, how do you want to receive, what are you looking for? Essentially, they're basically saying, when I search something, I want to find exactly the section I'm interested in. So what we thought was, well, how great would it be if we could identify the paragraph? But identifying paragraphs with text searches is not particularly, interesting, because what you need is, if it's talking about, I don't know, say monetary policy, in a paragraph, you don't know what country that is unless you know the context. So if you know the context, if the article heading might be Malaysia, say, or maybe the article is over Asia, but the subheading is Malaysia, if you're able to identify that as Malaysian monetary policy, then it becomes really interesting, because you can actually highlight and surface those paragraphs, specific paragraphs.
But what kind of insights can really be brought to the fore using this kind of technology?
You're trying to find out if a country's coming out of COVID, what the monetary stimulus is coming through. You need to pick up not just monetary policy. You need monetary stimulus, maybe the COVID funding program. So we have all these synonyms for one thing. So basically, we smart tag the paragraphs. One paragraph might have 15 tags associated, and each one is in a taxonomy.
And it sounds to me like you can really personalize research.
What we're talking about here is such granularity that we'd like to call it hyper-personalization. Imagine if you got, instead of hundreds of emails in the morning, you got one email throughout the day which updated you with just the issues you were interested in, or information about the portfolio and the instruments you're involved in. That's the holy grail for us.
My last question is really about your participation in the JPMorgan in Residence program in 2018. What did you learn from that, and what were your key takeaways?
It's a great program. I think all these types of programs are fantastic. They were hugely supportive, very open, very helpful. I think banks are learning that fintechs can be a real asset, because we're specializing in one particular area. We can be quite nimble as well as a startup, as a small company, really, none about the startup aspect of it. And I think the relationship works very well. And I think there's a lot to gain from both sides in how we work as well, which is interesting, sort of. So we've really enjoyed that. They've been great people to work with as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your insights, Roland.
Joy, it's been a real pleasure, as I said.